What do you think of when you hear the word woodshop? Is it tools or the smell of fresh cut wood? When I step into my workshop, it's more than just that. It's a creative sanctuary. Over time, it's become an unorganized disaster and, dare I say, hot mess. It was time for a full overhaul. Even though I spent way more money and almost made a mistake that would have cost me all happiness. I hope to have an organized, comfortable place to be inspired and productive. Maybe even a little cozy. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you the process of the upgrades, the full price breakdown, a mini tour, and a sneak peek at my next project. There's my cue. It started with wanting a new workbench. Not a remodel, nothing huge, just a bench. A larger, more functional bench that I thought would solve all my problems. For a while, it felt great. I had help over the summer, so 2 sets of hands, 2 brains, working together. I felt like I was finally upgrading my shop into a space I could really use. But then I realized I hated it. The bench just didn't work. So we tore it apart and started again. That should have been the end, but of course it wasn't. The second bench came together much faster. I bought a set of plans, this time from Zing Woodworks. I'll put a link in the description for the plans and his YouTube video of the build. Oh, I was just really hoping that this would just clear. I think after all of this building drama, this bench needs a name. Every good piece has to have a name. So I thought about it and asked ChatGPT, and I have 2 options. I'm going to let you decide. So in the comments, I want you to cast your vote for either Phoenix or Sir Benchalot. I'll write my vote in the pinned comment, and then I'll update it with the final tally and the winning name. Midway through the second bench build, my intern took a 4-day weekend. This overlapped with my mom's visit. I don't ask my mom to help out in the shop, but I will ask her to help paint. So I had some non-shop work time on my hands, and I thought, why not paint the garage? We should be able to bang that out in 4 days, right? I'm fine. It just fell. And now I'm down a tool. If you're finding this video entertaining and are getting some laughs at my blunders, subscribe for more and share with a friend who might get a kick out of it too. At first, I was excited. The garage looked brighter and cleaner until I stepped back. The ceiling is this big, ugly monster literally hanging over my head, screaming, "Help!" And I had sections too high up for me to reach on the walls. It's time to call in the professionals. One morning, my contractor stopped by, just to check on something else. But we started talking about the garage space. What about insulation? What about drywall? What if we dropped the ceiling? In my head, it sounded like the fix I'd been looking for. A beautiful, peaceful, finished garage with insulation, paint, maybe even a little AC. So I said yes, but my husband didn't know yet. And normally we decide all these things together. That's why one side of our cutting board is engraved with Team G. We are a team. But he was buried in work prepping for a huge presentation, and this time I decided on my own. And when I finally told him, I braced for the worst. Instead, he surprised me. He said, "We should update the garage, but if you move forward with this plan, you will be unhappy." And he was right. I knew it in my gut. Instead, we pivoted. The ceiling stayed tall, and spray foam insulation went in. The smell was brutal. Ammonia mixed with plastic. I left the garage door open for days just to breathe, but I knew it was the right call. Then the painters came back. The haze filled the garage, mist clinging to the air, overspray everywhere. But when it cleared, clean lines, even coverage, finished and done right. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos on epoxy floors, and this was just another thing I did not want to DIY. Watching the epoxy rollout was almost meditative. It spread like liquid glass, covering years of stains and spills, DIY paint adventures. I kind of liked the old floor because I never really cared what happened to it. If I dropped a tool or a drip of paint spilled, I just left it. Now I'll want to be a bit more careful. Suddenly, the space didn't feel like a garage anymore. It started to feel like a studio. Here's the thing. I thought I was fixing a bench. Then I thought I was fixing walls. But really, I was transforming the way I show up in this space. This wasn't just maintenance. This was a transformation. I organized my tools and even bought an air filtration system. I went through about an hour of assembly time, only to find out that it emitted the worst metal on metal screeching noise I have ever heard. I will spare you the actual audio. By now, you're probably wondering, how much did this all actually cost? Because remember, this was supposed to be a 4-day project, just a quick bench and some paint, not whatever this turned into. So, how about some real numbers for you? The first bench cost $434.58. The second bench cost $434.69. The contractor's work, the concrete, the insulation, the painting, the floors, cost $13,280.48. I spent about $650 in other purchases, including the air filtration system, for a grand total of $14,801.75. Here it is. Every time I look at this space now, I don't regret it. Not one bit. Because what started as a bench, made twice, turned into a studio I love. Sometimes the most expensive projects are the ones you didn't plan for, but can't imagine living without. So, yes, the grand total is a little embarrassing. But here's the thing. The shop isn't just a shop. It's kind of a mirror of my life. Because honestly, I didn't just rebuild a bench. I've had to rebuild a lot. Every time my husband's moved jobs, I've had to start over. New city, no friends, no job, no sense of purpose. He always had work waiting. He'd walk into an office full of people with an instant community. Meanwhile, I was figuring out the basics. Our first big move was in 2006, from St. Louis, Missouri to California. Now, remember, this was before smartphones. I had to print out the directions, find the grocery store, and then get back home. Well, one time I called my husband at work and I said, "Oh, thank goodness you answered the phone. I lost the directions to get home. Can you help me? I have a car full of groceries and I'm turned around." We even had the wonderful fortune to live in London for a year. Again, for his job. We were there for the royal wedding of Prince William and Kate. What an incredible experience, and I got a picture of the Queen. I'd have to say that the most epic of moves, physically and emotionally, was the decision to leave San Francisco and move down to the peninsula. We wanted a house that needed some love, and boy, we've given our hearts and souls to this house. Our daughter was only 8 months old when we moved here. Not only have we done several remodel projects, and there are a few future ones in the works, but all three of us have grown, stretched, and learned. I made a lot of mistakes along the way. I act before I think on a project, which usually forces me to do it all over again. I'd like to not do this and break the pattern moving forward. So with my goal to live more intentionally, I plan to take my projects a little slower and spend more time in the beginning stages of creating, designing, and talking through the process, going through multiple iterations on the concept before I dig in and start to cut up some wood. I'm hoping this will help me make the first time I do something more successful. I'm not aiming for perfection, but I'll take pretty damn good. To me, cozy means comfort in my routines. It's not a scented candle or a warm blanket, although those things are wonderful. Cozy to me is being comfortable in a space to have some quiet reflection, process my thoughts, and be comfortable being me. But first, let's take a moment here, because after all the weeks of sweat, frustration, broken tools, overspray, insulation fumes, and a budget that ballooned faster than a Bay Area daycare bill, the shop is finally finished. And honestly, I don't see it as a shop anymore. It's a studio, a place that feels alive, warm, and dare I say it, cozy. So in the spirit of cozy, I also like to be organized. I bought the plans for this 3D printed sandpaper holder from the Swedish Maker. You need to go check out his channel. I will put all the links in the description. And my friend has a 3D printer, so lucky me, and thank you Bamboo Labs for making some awesome 3D printers. Now, all my sandpaper has a place to live, I can apply it with one hand, and it won't get dusty, just looking cute on my wall. This is it. This is where I start my day with coffee, where I put on music, headphones, and forget the world outside for a while, where I get to design, build, fail, rebuild, and to enjoy the process instead of rushing to the finish line. Because this isn't just a space. It's a reminder that every rebuild, whether it's a bench, a career, or part of my life, has been worth it. So here it is. My cozy new wood studio. And if you've enjoyed watching this transformation, just wait. Up next, we're going back to the pantry to finish it off with my first ever floating shelves. And they were 92 inches long. Then we're going to my daughter's closet, where I'll be comparing the real costs of DIY versus hiring the pros. Numbers included, and trust me, you're going to want to see both of those. Because sometimes the most expensive projects aren't measured in money, but in the memories they leave behind. Make sure you subscribe to follow along, and be brave, my friends.